When we first brought you news of Campagnolo Super Record Wireless Groupset, we said that we'd get our hands on it, weigh it, and take a closer look at each component. Well, we're true to our word here at BikeRadar, so here is a big table of parts. Let's weigh everything and see how Super Record Wireless compares to Shimano Dura-Ace and SRAM RED. We'll start with the rear derailleur. There's just one to cover 3 cassette options, and it's produced from technopolymer and carbon fiber. Shifting speed has apparently increased over Super Record EPS. However, I am waiting to read Oscar's full review to know whether that claim holds up. Unlike SRAM, which uses the Orbit clutch damper, Super Record Wireless doesn't feature a clutch mechanism to manage the chain. The derailleur cage has been redesigned and is now constructed from carbon fiber. The pulley wheels now run on bushings. Campagnolo wouldn't reveal an official maximum cassette tooth capacity for the derailleur, but said it will work with a 32-tooth sprocket, although somewhat contradictorily said the use of one isn't recommended. The derailleur features a safety mechanism much like we've seen all over the internet, where it temporarily disengages the derailleur if it takes a knock. Anyway, we're here to weigh it. It weighs 256 or 257 grams. It's kind of flicking between. Anyway, onto the front derailleur. Now I should mention that we will weigh the batteries in a moment, so these weights don't include them. The wireless front derailleur, though, is much wider than its predecessor, and it has a capacity of up to a 16-tooth difference between chainrings. Campagnolo says that you can run a 34mm road bike tyre with the front derailleur on 410mm length chainstays. Using larger tyres might just interfere with the derailleur body. Now that body is really quite chunky, but I do love this outer carbon cage plate. That looks really, really nice. Anyway, it weighs 125 grams. Let's weigh the batteries. So both batteries are removable. Let's pop those over there. And they feature a magnetic charging port that kind of reminds me of Apple's MagSafe stuff. Anyway, the front one, which is this one, smaller of the two, weighs in at 34 grams. The rear weighs 39 grams. So together, if you don't want to do the maths, that is 72 grams. The shifters now, this represents the most significant development, with Campagnolo ditching its iconic thumb shifter. It feels wrong to see a Campag shifter without it there. Kind of sad. Now each shifter paddle features 2 separate buttons, with Campagnolo referring to the shifting logic as one lever, one action. Now by default, the uppermost button here on the right-hand shifter shifts the rear derailleur into an easier gear, with the lower button for a harder gear. Now the uppermost button on the left-hand shifter shifts you into the big chainring, and the lower button into a small chainring. However, you can customize the shifting logic in the My Campy 3.0 app, if that isn't to your taste. The body and the lever shape have also been redesigned. Campagnolo says that the new hood features extra grip and cushioning for enhanced riding comfort, as well as more efficient braking. Personally, that is still quite hard, so I'm not sure where the extra comfort's coming in there. On the inside, where the thumb shifter paddle used to live, are 2-mode buttons. These are basically used to set and index your gears and also monitor battery life. Campagnolo has also removed the bump on the shifter hood where it transitions into the bar, which is an excellent touch from my personal point of view. But we have a weight of 241 or 2 grams for the right-hand shifter. The left-hand shifter weighs 263 grams. Onto the calipers now. These are flat mount only and they feature the same internals as the old stuff, so no massive changes. There are some cosmetic revisions with Campagnolo's lovely little logo on the inside face now so that you can see it from the drive side as you take your photos for Instagram. Campagnolo is though introducing a new disc brake pad with the DB410, which are 30% lighter than the current model, thanks to a new aluminium backing plate. Bearing in mind that the old model weighed a claimed 41 grams, this saves around 12 grams. Now I've popped the bolts out so that we can weigh the calipers on their own. This is the front, it weighs 130 grams. Now the rear does have a little bit of hose attached to it. Call it 119 grams. I'll pop these off to the side, and just so that you've got them, a set of Campagnolo bolts weighs 20 grams. Campagnolo's road cassettes now start with a 10-tooth cog and are made of CNC machined steel. Campagnolo will be offering 3 cassette sizes, 1025, 1027 and 1029. So the largest cogs I'll just show you are a single cluster, and then everything else is individual cogs. We've got the 10 to 29 cassette and it weighs, we've got the lock ring as well, 229 grams. Now, the Super Record Wireless crankset is one of my favourite bits of this group set. It still uses a 4-arm construction method. The arms are then made from carbon fibre and paired with a titanium axle. It is lovely. The crank arms are a little smaller in profile than the outgoing Super Record to meet modern frame standard. It retains the carbon bracing for stiffness purposes. Now, to complement the smaller 10-tooth cog at the back, Campagnolo is using smaller chainring sizes. The 3 options are 50-34, 48-32 and 45-29. That's a bit of a weird one, that last one, but all of the cranksets share an identical 121/88mm asymmetric BCD and a 45.8mm chainline. Now, these are available in 165, 170, 172.5 and 175mm lengths. The Q factor is 147.5mm, up from 145.5mm on the previous 12-speed cranksets. The brand says that it may introduce larger chainring sizes for the pros, but for now, the riders seem to be just reverting back to their old Super Record cranksets. And what about this pod in here? Now, that surely looks like a spot for a power meter in the future, but Campagnolo aren't saying anything for now. Anyway, our 172.5mm cranks with 32/48 chainrings weigh 436 for that side. Let's go and weigh the non-drive side now. Obviously these come with a split axle. And that weighs 194 grams. The chain, well, there's nothing really new here. There is a new quick link, which you get instead of a joining pin. Ours is fresh out of the box with the factory grease, and it weighs 225 grams. But would it be lighter if Simon waxed it? Let me know in the comments below. The rotors are also unchanged. We've got the 140 and 160mm versions. I've got chain grease all over my hands, so I don't really want to foul up these rotors. Anyway, the 140, which I have here, 100 grams, not sure. And the front, which is a 160, weighs 121 grams. But how does all of this compare to SRAM and Shimano? SRAM claims a 2.518 kilo complete weight for red eTap access. Now, we've weighed Dura-Ace at 2.514 kilos. Both have different specs though, so I'm not calling that an entirely fair comparison. So that is Super Record Wireless all weighed for you. Let me know whether this compares well in your eyes to SRAM RED, eTap and Dura-Ace. Now, if you want to see our Dura-Ace ride review, it's just up here. Remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.